Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 6th, 2023 Wiseburg Unified School District Board meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. And just a quick update, we have another large turnout here. Great to see everyone. Tonight we have a special presentation. I do see the students here. I don't see infamous Andy here. There he is. You'll be providing a presentation on the 2023 Dana Middle School Burn-In program. So looking forward to hearing more about that. We will also have a board discussion on the renaming legislates that was presented by Dr. Monique Ingram. So we will have a board discussion on that as well. And with that, we will go ahead and proceed with the board agenda items. And the next item before we get started here is, let's take a roll call. Wendy?
Ms. Cappy? Here. Dr. Golden?
Here.
Mr. Vandelos?
Here.
Ms. Canetta? Here. Mr. Martinez?
Present.
Thank you.
All right. He's going to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Good for you.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. And to the Father, which stands, the nation, and God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. We have no items to report from closed sessions this evening. And now I will move to adopt the agenda. Actually, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. Martinez, I'm wondering, do we want to move item 7.1 up above 6, public comment, before we adopt the agenda, just so we can have the students present prior to public comment? Yeah.
Is everyone okay with moving that?
Agenda with that change. Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I think that's a great recommendation. So do I have a motion on adopting the agenda?
We just
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were just doing the specific item. So is that we're moving the agenda and doing a second with
On the change.
with a change. Got it. And we approved it. All in favor? Aye. Here. Great. All right. So with that, Blake, I will turn it over to you for introductions to the infamous Andy.
So, that's hard. It's hard to introduce Andy. Mr. D is here, in full force. We always get the pleasure of seeing Mr. D come to these presentations and share some of the great work from the students at Dana Middle School related to STEM. And so I'm going to turn it over. I think Kiana, you're going to introduce a little bit, or no? Were you not? Or Andy? All right, go for it.
From here.
Or you can walk up to the mic.
Good evening to the board and to all of our guests that are watching. I am honored and privileged to present Dana's Herndon team and Mr. D. We're really proud of this team and the work they do, and they do really live into our assurances in terms of future ready, student-centered, and collaboration with our community and our partners. And so they're going to do a much better job in their presentation than I am, but just really proud for you to see their presentation.
Thank you.
And before I turn it over to the kids, thank you so much for the support, Kiana. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support, Kiana, board president, board members, community, parents, teachers. Thank you for your support. Parents, I want to reach out to you and say that your kids were phenomenal to work with this year. They put in a lot of time, but you had to support them throughout the process. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it right over to Joshua Gandara.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm going to take that with Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Joshua Gandara, and I'm a current student at Dana Middle School. I just want to welcome Mr. Superintendent, the Board of Directors, and public and teachers. I also want to give thanks to our parents for supporting us through this adventure. And may begin our presentation.
Okay, I think you can do it without the mic.
Well, except we have people listening at home, so that's why the.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, go. I'll hold it.
Hello, my name is Hanifa, and our experiment is using robots to clean up oil spills.
Thank you, Nifa.
My name is Matthew, and I'll be explaining our abstract. To find the best material to clean up oil spills, we researched likely materials and then tested polypropylene, nylon, and human hair. We found that polypropylene worked the best. And to show how polypropylene could be used in a real oil spill, we studied different oil spill cleanup methods and then built a robot which could skim a spill.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Hi, my name is Joshua, and oil is spilled every year during drilling and transportation. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, oil spills can harm wildlife habitats and migration patterns. For example, when oil gets covered on a bird's feathers, it prevents them from flying, which means they can drown. Second, when oil gets covered on a plant's leaves and stem, it prevents them from doing photosynthesis, which means they can die. Lastly, oil can even harm humans, causing heart damage, stunted growth, immune system effects, and even death. Although we can prevent oil spills from happening, by making oil spill cleanups faster and cheaper can minimize their impact. We researched accepted techniques for oil spill cleanup methods and conducted an experiment on several materials.
Thanks, Joshua. Next, we'll be explaining the four main methods of cleaning up oil spills. First, dispersants are chemicals used to break up spilled oil into smaller droplets. These chemicals mainly consist of emulsifiers and solvents.
That sounds like an experiment we did. Thank you, Matt. One experiment that we did to show how dispersants works was used moxie and water. The water acted as the oil while the moxie acted as the dispersant. As we poured the moxie into the water, it created clumps of the water sticking it to the bottom. That's kind of like how dispersants work.
Dispersants don't actually take any oil out of the ocean. The oil simply clumps up and sinks to the bottom, so it could still harm marine life.
Thank you, Matt. A second method of cleaning up oil spills is in situ burning, or ISB. ISB is one of the most effective ways to clean up oil. To have a successful burn, the oil needs to be 2 to 3 centimeters thick and contained by a broom.
Thanks, Josh. So a third method is using oil booms. Oil booms are usually long plastic or metal devices that are used to contain oil to keep it away from sensitive areas. They're also tied to skimmers, which is the fourth method.
Thanks, Hanifa. A skimmer is a line of absorbent materials connected by two robots.
Oh, hey, that sounds like an experiment.
Yes, Josh. We built an ROV, a remote operating device vehicle. To do this, we studied concepts such as density, buoyancy, and Archimedes' principle. We used PVC pipe to make the frame of the robot, and to waterproof the motors, we used toilet bowl wax. We even made our own remote control by soldering together a circuit board. The absorbent materials collect oil and repel water. The boom and skimmer combination is one of the most effective cleaning methods. The skimmers are pulled through the oil that floats on top of the water.
Thank you, Stephen. After our examination of oil skimming materials, we hypothesized if we treat 500 milliliters of a mixture of 4 parts water to 1 part oil at a pour rate of 100 milliliters per 20 seconds, using 27 grams of polypropylene, nylon, human hair, and equal parts of the previously listed filtering materials, there will be less oil after each filtering process, and polypropylene will absorb the most oil. Now for our results and analysis. Polypropylene is a thermoplastic made of hydrocarbons, meaning that it will absorb oil and repel water. Polypropylene is also can absorb oil through its pores and contain it. Polypropylene is also made from plastic, which is made from oil, which makes it the perfect filtering material. Compared to others such as hair, polypropylene absorbs a little more than twice a bit.
Thanks, Rakesh. Oil skimmers are often used today, and we learned that polypropylene is a very effective skimmer material. But skimmers are expensive to deploy in the sea. It takes a lot of people and can be dangerous work. We believe robots could be a less expensive way to operate skimmers. Basic robots are inexpensive and easy to build. They're great for jobs that are dull, dirty, or dangerous. In our experiment, we built a robot to drive around and collect oil using 2 skimmers linked by absorbent polypropylene. 2 of our robots, plus skimmers and a filter, cost just under $400.
Steven. So in conclusion, our experiment shows that robots offer enormous potential in cleaning up oil spills. We demonstrated our concept by attaching skimmers made of polypropylene to two low-cost robots. Polypropylene is highly effective and absorbs the most oil. Robots are being used worldwide to do dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs in place for humans. In the case of an actual oil spill, these machines can work around the clock. Our next steps would be to move from our lab setting to more real-world test environments. We also need to test the maximum weight that each robot can carry so we can develop a holding area plan. We learned that testing is essential in proving a conceptual idea. Now all we need to do is test our robot in a more real-world situation so we can truly see whether robots are a viable solution in cleaning up oil spills or not.
That concludes our presentation. We'd like to answer any questions you may have.
Oh, what a wonderful presentation. Yes.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it earlier. How long have you guys been working on this project?
About like 200 hours, maybe. So in total, all of our.
So you did that all last week?
How did you select your topic?
We knew we wanted to invent something that would solve a problem, and we researched different problems, and we saw that oil spills was the main problem, and we also wanted to incorporate robots, and we were like, oh, we could do this. So then we tried.
Were you a team to start with, or how did you decide on your team?
So there were tryouts. So basically, like, there were like about 50 people who would come and they would get interviewed by former Herndon team members, and then they would get asked questions, and then based on how they do, they would score them out of 10, 10, I believe. So then whoever has the highest score out of 5 people would get in the team.
And I think you presented this at a competition, correct? Tell us about that.
Yes, we did. We had to present to 3 different sets of judges in the Aerospace Corporation building right over there. And so we had to, like I said, we had to do our presentation 3 times to 3 different sets of judges, and then we'd get judged. And after that, when we were done with the presentation, we got a tour of the Aerospace Corporation building. And in case any of you are wondering, the reason I put this robot on the ground is to show how robots can be automated or autonomous by using VEX V5 code to program a robot to drive around. And this shows using C++ language. This shows that if we wanted to, we could automate our robots to work around the clock because humans can't work 24/7 all the time.
The gentleman in the back hand, 200 hours in 1 week, right?
So yeah.
Did you get to see some of the other presentations that were made during this competition?
Not really, no. Well, we were, the presentations were next to us. We didn't actually see a full-on presentation, but we could see that they were there and some of the things they have in front of them. The reason why we have a robot is because robots can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and which is not what we're doing currently today, which will be much more efficient than our current oil spill method.
And also, as we mentioned earlier, we are using robots, especially because they're used to do dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs, which humans don't generally want to do.
Do you have a question?
Yes. What did you love most about working on the project? And then was there anything that didn't like as much, or anything was it like nerve-wracking to present, or did you know the material really well so you weren't nervous? What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite?
Overall, it was a good time to do Herndon. Like, there aren't really any bad things about doing it, and it's just a fun experience to do. Like you get to learn new stuff every day. And I think my favorite part would probably be like hanging around talking to these guys because they're like kind of like my best friends now. And it's just like every time I see them, it's just like, oh, I had you. You're my best friend. So it's just a new experience for like people, and like it brings us closer.
Any other questions from their colleagues? One question, what was your biggest challenge as a team? What was the biggest challenge that you faced on this project?
So one like of our like this there was this one mistake which when it came to soldering. So we had to solder the motors to the motors to the Ethernet cable and connect the Ethernet cable to the controller. We kind of broke one. Stuck with one, so we had to get a spare one, and we were able to fix it. And that was just one of the most. It's kind of dangerous
How
because
many hours did it take to figure out this problem?
50.
Wow.
It took 3 days. Total.
It was also difficult to. Oh yeah, it was the fuse that was the problem. The wires were too short; they won't connect to the circuit board. But another problem we faced was sort of scheduling challenges. Like a lot of us have outside of school activities that we have to do, and so it was a struggle to do it like either a long time during one day or like spread out through the weeks, or even doing it on the weekends. So yeah.
So much of
Stephen
this.
won't tell you this, but he used his hair for the term.
This is a before picture, and this is the after picture.
Participation.
That's dedicating yourself to a project.
Well, I congratulations to you. I mean, this was a wonderful presentation, and I know you hit it out of the park with those judges as well. So congratulations to the team. Andy, do you want to share anything else?
Just really proud of them. I actually wanted them to run the entire presentation. They're so efficient and so well spoken. I just felt like they could explain everything that.
Andy, and what was the final result of the judging of the competition?
First place. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Daniel was third for 4 years. And so we're super proud. But you know, it's not about winning. I told them that before. They were really proud to be there. They were proud of their work. They were proud of their effort. And you know, just 3 days before, it was still coming together. So they really worked hard. So I'm super proud of them.
Well, we would be honored if would you be willing to take a picture with the board here?
Of course, bro.
Let's do it.
No.
Come on, Chris. I'll get in there.
We're all, oh yeah.
Can you get everybody?
You want our head closer? Yeah, I might need to like squish them.
Yeah, you want to for that?
It's in
You want to kneel down on the front, Gary?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, there you go. And then the board members together. You're perfect. You're good. Oh, that's. Hey, Andy. Thank you. Okay, everybody look this way, please. 1, 2, 3. Okay, go ahead, Amir. Hold on one second. Oil spill. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Right, I think we have a few public comments. I think my understanding is we have about. Oh, for those of you that wish to stay can do so if. Those that are willing to, ready to go, we're now gonna go into this is the regular board duty item. So parents, feel free to leave. You don't have to stay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And congratulations again. Okay, we'll now go to public comments, and I think we have 12 public comments. Reminder for the public, board bylaws, each speaker has 3 minutes. And, the board cannot respond, to the public comments. I think with the approval of my colleagues here, we have 12 and have 3 minutes, so that means that we would go beyond the 20-minute limitation. Are we okay with that? Do I have? Okay, so with that, we will make that accommodation. And I think, Wendy, you're gonna call it first name?
First speaker we have is Dr. Matt Wonder.
All right. Welcome, Dr. Wonder.
Seems like we were here yesterday.
Yeah. We were.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make a quick public comment. Want to start with a quote that your friend sent me recently. So sometimes what you think is a setback is just a setup to do something bigger and better. And I'm here to express appreciation. Nelson, Roger, and Blake and I have been spending a lot of time together, and different boards have been working together really well. A wise soul recently said that being a partner is reducing risk for each other and for those you serve, and it's also looking for opportunities for the other. And I would characterize our conversations to have been just that. I think the pandemic, among other things, broke down communication, and I'm really grateful that our communication has accelerated and has been very healthy, and I'm looking forward to moving forward together. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker up is Jean Ogar.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jeannie Agar, and I'm a Wiseburn resident of 9 years. I also have 3 children who are going or will be going to the Wiseburn Da Vinci High School. The Wiseburn community would like to understand whether the Wiseburn Unified School District can terminate Da Vinci's lease on the 201 North Douglas campus because of the CTE studio. The CTE studio project began 4 years ago in 2019. And since that time, the district has known where the studio would be located on the campus. And over the past 4 years, the district allowed Da Vinci to hire an architect. You allowed Da Vinci to raise over $1 million for the studio. And you allowed Da Vinci to move forward with construction, scheduling, and planning. And now all of a sudden, you want to restrict Da Vinci's use of the studio because it's a separate structure on the campus. Well, Da Vinci doesn't agree to this, and then you give them less than 2 months' notice that you're going to terminate their 40-year lease for the entire high school. And you had to do this at the very end of the school year, right before graduations and summer break. Well, this is going to be a year to remember. Which brings me to my final point. What do you want to be remembered by? This is the legacy that you're leaving the Wiseburn community. Years of litigation, if that's how it turns out, will divert funds away from our children's learning and cause conflict over collaboration. Will your legacy be litigation or learning? Will it be conflict or collaboration? For the sake of our children's future, I hope you choose wisely for the Wiseburn community and announce that you're going to stop their attempt to terminate the Da Vinci's lease. Thank you.
Christina Hubert.
Welcome, Christina.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I wanted to start by telling you all a story. When I was 11 years old, the same age my son is now, I started smoking cigarettes to numb out the pain I felt inside. At 12 years old, I was smoking pot. At 13, I started lacing my pot with crystal meth. At 14, I was a full-blown crystal methamphetamine addict. At 15, I was 5'7" tall and weighed 72 pounds. I was dying from my addiction. My pain was too great and I didn't know how to express my pain. I was lost, alone, afraid, and needed to be seen, heard, celebrated, and loved for my unique ways of seeing the world, my unique ways of thinking, and my unique ways of being. In many ways, I needed a Da Vinci. When I was 16 years old, I was kicked out of Maricosta, and at 17, I moved up to Northern California to get clean and have a new start. Rather than redo my junior year, I ended up going to a continuation school. At my continuation school, my principal and teachers loved me, embraced me, saw my unique gifts, and celebrated them and me. For the first time, I felt like I was seen, heard, loved, believed in, and felt like I belonged. They put me in leadership roles and taught me how to balance my checkbook instead of teaching me calculus. Their belief in me and direction helped me to start community college before I finished high school. I started working full-time in the financial services industry as an administrator when I was 20 years old, just a few years after getting clean and while working toward my bachelor's degree. In my professional role, I was responsible for design, administration, compliance, operations, governance, and fiduciary due diligence of hundreds of retirement plans for small and mid-sized businesses and institutions. I ended up having a successful 17-and-a-half career in the industry, and by the time I left to follow my dreams of doing more good in the world, I had become a vice president at a global firm and was in the top 10% of earners in America. I tell you this story because it's people like you and the team at Da Vinci, people who are also dedicated to serving and doing what you do, have the potential to change the trajectory of the child's life now and for generations to come. My little continuation school and the teachers, principal, board, and leadership changed my life for the better forever. Being seen, celebrated, loved, and believed in kept me clean from drugs, contributing a positive ways to society, and moving towards my dreams. Thank you for being that influence either directly or indirectly in the lives of kids. And thank you to the Wiseburn Unified School District and Da Vinci for continuing to find ways to align with each other so that together you can continue to honor our kids and our community. Please know how special it is and how needed your contributions and collaborations are. I know there is a positive path forward that takes into account every voice and every child's unique special gifts and ways of being. And I'm excited to see how much more amazing our district will be for all people going forward. I know you can carve an incredible path. What you all have created together, so courageous leaders and visionaries. Being visionaries and trailblazers always comes with growing pains as the people blazing the trail have to figure it all out through trial and error. Thank you for your courage and your dedication. I believe that someday all the trials and tribulations will be funny stories you'll all tell the younger generations. And until that day, we look forward to seeing the partnership blossom, and we look forward to seeing the changes required to best serve and create win-wins for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Gustafson.
Hello. My children have had a good experience in this district, thanks to some truly excellent teachers. But not until my son started at Da Vinci Science did I see him truly academically challenged. Da Vinci is a really special school for many reasons, but I just wanted to highlight the academic challenge, and it's important to our family. I'm hoping he can complete his high school experience in an undiminished Da Vinci, and I'm hoping my younger son can have the same opportunity. I'm glad to see the district and Da Vinci working together to resolve this, and hopefully communication will be coordinated better to avoid alarming situations in the future. Thank you all for your dedication to the development and welfare of our students.
Eric Wardron.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. First time here. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. As she said, my name is Eric Wardron. I am a Wiseburn resident. I have a daughter who is now going into 6th grade and hopefully will someday be attending Da Vinci High School. I agonized a bit about what to say up here to the panel. You've heard a lot of great facts from a lot of the other Da Vinci school supporters. I don't think I can add much to that, but I can tell you that I was born and raised in Manhattan Beach. I attended K through 12 there. I had a great experience. I understand why others in the community want that experience for their kids. It's familiar. It's something we've all gone through, and we feel that it's something that we can help them with. And Da Vinci, it was new at first, but over the years, it has developed, it has grown, and it has only gotten better every year. I don't disagree with the folks who want a traditional school. If they want that, fine. But I do disagree with the board's attempt to limit the space of Da Vinci High School in order to make room for a traditional school. There are agreements in place. There's a partnership between the two. That should be honored if we can find another way to make that happen. I heard some arguments at the last board meeting for why a traditional school is needed. And I got to tell you, some of those arguments didn't really resound with me. I don't know. Resonate. Thank you. See, you got my correct. You know, as a parent, you have to decide what educational experience is best for your kid. And I can tell you, as a Manhattan Beach student, there were plenty of other kids whose parents decided that Manhattan Beach wasn't good enough or wasn't the right fit for their students. They send kids to Chadwick, they send them to American Martyrs, they send a very famous quarterback to St. John Bosco, and now they send them to Da Vinci High School. So I don't know what other reason you guys need to back this up. You know, I make mistakes all the time. I just did. You saw that. It's okay. It's okay. No, we don't need to admit anyone's wrong. You know, we don't need an apology. We just need to back this up and move forward in a different direction. That's all I gotta say.
Lee Daniels.
Hi, thank you. And thank you for letting us know that you aren't going to be commenting, so it's not awkward. My name is Julie Daniels, and this is the first time I've ever spoken at a school board meeting. I am the parent of a freshman at Da Vinci Design. We don't live in Weisburn, we live in Manhattan Beach. As you know, our high school is Maricosta, an award-winning public high school, but the comprehensive school model isn't for everyone. It wasn't a good fit for my two older daughters who attended, but at the time we didn't have a choice. So if you've had the misfortune of one of your children falling through the cracks at a public school, you probably know my pain. The lack of communication, the dearth of support, and the feeling that you're in trouble when you just try to get answers from teachers and administration. And the worst part, seeing your bubbly, bright child lose their self-esteem. It just erodes in front of you. I vowed not to make the same mistake with my third daughter. We found Da Vinci. After a year and a half on the waiting list, she got into Da Vinci Connect, and it's a wonderful safe haven. It was great during COVID, puberty, all the usual middle school issues. There was a few bumps along the way, but we enjoyed the journey, and we believed that Da Vinci High School was the prize. And we were right. My daughter loves her high school. She loves her teachers. They love her back, and we both feel listened to and supported by the admin. And my daughter's a little different. She was, when she was 2, she told us she wanted to go to Harvard and study mechanical engineering and be a costume designer and a puppet master. But she has moderate to severe anxiety, and other issues that have held her back in school. At Da Vinci Design, she has gone from a kid who was literally afraid to walk through the door on first week of school to a student who walks right up to her principal and asks his advice about what seminar she should take. It's been amazing. I'm so proud of her progress as she's made the principal's list the first semester. We're still waiting to hear about this semester, waiting for Spira's grade to come in. She takes her work and her POLs seriously because she likes and respects her teachers and they like and respect her back. It shows. But more important than that, I see her learning and I see her retaining what she's learning for the first time. Contrary to what happened to her sisters at this age, her confidence in her abilities is growing. I feel so grateful for the gift that is the Da Vinci and Weisburn collaboration. Thank you. What a great thing you guys have built together. I know this started as a dream. You should be really proud of how far you've all come. Let's please find a solution that works for everyone so this beautiful dream can survive. Thank you for your consideration.
I am Kelly Shoemaker. I'm a proud mom of two sons at Da Vinci Science High School, and I'm a teacher at Korean School, and that's the role I'm going to be playing right now. When you are asked to take action on the Capturing Kids' Hearts program, I respectfully request that you please consider the following. First, what specific outcomes does this program guarantee? Where is the list of citations that supports these claims? In all of the information shared with teachers, the company has not provided any empirical research that supports its general claim that its process has a positive effect on school culture and helps improve student behavior. I did find two empirical studies of Capturing Kids' Hearts. Both concluded that implementing this program with fidelity is a barrier to its success. Second, if adopted, how are we going to implement this program with fidelity? What are the additional ongoing costs of implementation beyond the initial $160,000 cost of staff training? For any district-wide program to be successful, every district employee has to be trained, and all of these people have to implement the process to the letter. Otherwise, we cannot evaluate its effectiveness. Optional teacher training is tentatively scheduled for the last 2 days of summer break. How will all teachers get trained if training is optional? What is the cost of ongoing training for new employees at the beginning or the middle of the school year? How are administrators going to ensure that this process is implemented with fidelity? Will school counselors and administrators be the Capturing Kids' Hearts enforcers, or will additional personnel need to be hired? What is the procedure for addressing tenured teachers who refuse to attend training or implement the program, or teachers who attend training but don't implement the program well? Finally, I and many of my colleagues continue to have great misgivings about this program for many reasons. For example, Capturing Kids' Hearts use hand signals rather than words to, quote, check people who break rules. Could these hand signals be misconstrued as gang signs? Could they be insulting to hearing impaired people who communicate through American Sign Language? And aren't we supposed to be teaching our young students to use their words? In response to teacher concerns, a representative of Capturing Kids' Hearts was flown in from Texas. Mr. Hazard's presentation was inappropriate, lacked any substance, and made me fear that it is not training I have been invited to, but rather a 2-day-long indoctrination. When Capturing Kids' Hearts is placed on your agenda again, I know that you, our dedicated board members, will endeavor to learn the answer to these important questions before a final decision is made. Because we all want to adopt an evidence-based program with empirically proven benefits that will help our students thrive. Thank you.
Pam.
Hi, everybody. I'm here also as a parent at Da Vinci. I actually have 3 sons at Da Vinci, all at 3 separate schools. So I get to have a little sampling. I have a senior at Science, a freshman at Design, and a 5th grader at Connect. I also came from outside the district, but have many friends living in the district. So I just wanted to share our experience a little bit.
So our kids were in Manhattan Beach schools traditionally until about fourth grade, our oldest. And then it just didn't seem like the right fit for our second grader. So we put our kids in the lottery on a little bit on a whim, but thinking we saw what was going on at Da Vinci. I was heading up the Makerspace program at our children's school at the time. So project-based learning was great. So we put ourselves in the lottery for Da Vinci, thinking this was going to be a great fit. If it wasn't, we could always go back to Manhattan Beach, right? Those schools are good. It's traditional. We put our kids, we got spots for the two oldest boys, and it was a game changer for them. They now are at the high school. I often get asked about design, like, is there any academic rigor there? What's going on there? You know, maybe that's where they could put a traditional high school. But I have to say my freshman there is outpacing where my senior is ending at science in mathematics. And he wants to go on to something really big like MIT. And he is happy in design. I can say my oldest is going to be studying computer science next year up in San Francisco. And so that has been very rigorous for them. I can also say that I get a call about once a week from a family in Manhattan Beach interested in why did you go to Da Vinci and tell me about it, because traditional school doesn't seem like it's great for our kid. And so there's a lot of interest in doing something different. So I just want to give that kind of feedback. And I also want to share that for all my friends that live in Wiseburn or at Da Vinci, we have so many, that I hope that the board, before they make a decision or put things forward that would kind of put out the idea of a traditional school, that they use the spirit of democracy and actually polling the Wiseburn residents and seeing what they want and sharing that data. Because I think it's a little bit difficult for one or two residents to maybe share big opinions and then have some that shared with the school board and saying, I've heard, so maybe we should think about this, and that spirals into things that, you know, aren't really data driven, and maybe the opinions of a few and not the whole. So I would hope that that's explored in a greater way. But I just wanted to share that experience from outside the district, and that we see rigor in all our experiences there. And we hope that continues. We appreciate the partnership that you guys have created together. Thanks.
Jody McGee.
Forgive me if I stutter and forgive me if I read. I'm just better at reading what I wrote. I'm from outside the district. I'm from Redondo Beach, and I want to thank you, both Da Vinci and Wiseburn, that you give us an option that's not available probably, I don't know, 25, 30 miles and even longer outside the area. So you've given us, it gave my family an option that it needed. My name is Jody McGee, and as I said, I'm a resident of the Redondo Beach School District, but I chose Wiseburn Da Vinci Schools for my child's education. And thank you for letting me speak today. My family chose the Wiseburn Da Vinci School Districts because of its unique and progressive educational opportunity that it provides. Da Vinci School Wiseburn is a highly regarded charter school that provides a unique and innovative educational experience for students and my child. The school has been recognized for its academic achievements and has received numerous awards and accolades. Additionally, it has a diverse student body. One of the key factors that I believe sets Da Vinci School Wiseburn apart from other educational institutions is its focus on interdisciplinary learning, rather than teaching subjects in isolation. The school's curriculum integrates multiple disciplines to create a more holistic understanding of complex topics. For example, students learn about history, literature, and art, all within the context of a single project or lesson. Overall, I believe Da Vinci School's innovative approach to education is how it's earned its great reputation as one of the most forward-thinking schools in the country. Its commitment to personalized learning and interdisciplinary instruction has helped prepare countless students for success both in college and beyond, and I believe that this is the best opportunity for my child. Da Vinci Schools in Wiseburn is also focused on project-based learning and the development of habits of heart and mind. The habits of heart and mind are a set of skills and disposition that enable students to become successful and happy individuals who can make a positive impact on its community and the planet. The habits of heart and mind, this may kind of be what you guys already know, but I really want this in the notes. The habits of heart include empathy, compassion, kindness, and gratitude. These habits help my student and other students develop relationships with others, build community, and promote social justice. By practicing empathy, for example, students learn to understand and appreciate the perspectives of others, which can lead to more effective communication and collaboration. The habits of mind include critical thinking and self-reflection. The habits help students become independent learners who can solve complex problems and adapt to new situations. By practicing critical thinking as they do at our school, for example, students learn to analyze information carefully and make informed decisions based on evidence. Together, these tenets of habits of heart and mind create a powerful framework for personal growth and social responsibility for our students. Students who develop these habits are better equipped to navigate the challenges of life and contribute positively to society. They are also more likely to experience success and happiness in their personal lives. In summary, I believe that Da Vinci schools in Wiseburn focus on developing hearts of habit and mind, leads to success and happiness for the planet by promoting social justice, independent living, problem solving, adaptability to new situations, personal growth, social responsibility, among others. And I'll leave you with this. For an example of this, my daughter said in her presentation of learning on Thursday, she was asked to reflect on what hearts of habit and mind means to her. Her presentation was called Petals and Thorns, and her research was on roses. She said, I think the hearts of habit and mind are like the petals of a rose. They are so important. Habits of heart and mind is such an important part of my daily life at Vinci. This year, though, the name of my game is flexibility and collaboration, which are parts of that tenet. I had to adjust in so many ways. First, this is my first year back since second grade due to the pandemic. I had to learn to work with new teachers, students, new days, and how to work in collaboration with groups again. And this wasn't easy, but I had a good foundation and support of my wonderful classmates and extraordinary teachers. There's a meta study conducted by Joseph A. Durluck and Robert B. Weisberg about social emotional learning is one of the #1 predictors of a person's overall success. And I just want to say this, we don't even know what education is going to be like in 25 years, let alone 50. And in my opinion, education needs to be 50 years ahead of the time, not 50 years behind the time. And I believe that Wiseburn, the collaboration between Da Vinci and Wiseburn is my family and others that experience. Thank you. Thank you.
No Sarah Burris?
Hello. Okay, got my notes. Good evening. Hello. Just turn sideways, I can read. My name is Sarah Burris, and I have been a Wiseburn resident for 14 years now. I have a freshman at VBS and a 6th grader at Dana. I am also the admin for our local Facebook group, Wiseburn Moms. Because of this, not only have I seen firsthand how this situation has put undue stress and strain on our community, but I have had to moderate in real time how these immense decisions are affecting us all, whether you live in the footprint of the district or have children who are a part of this district. It is my firm opinion that all of us matter, as none of the schools could function without the enrollment being filled out by those who permit into it. Unfortunately, this conflict has fractured our families and in a lot of ways divided people into sides. I do believe this was largely avoidable had both Da Vinci and Wiseburn resolved their differences before now, but here we are. It is my understanding that the relationship has deteriorated between the two entities, and that, combined with a specific group of stakeholders, who still maintain that they want a non-charter high school, has led us to this perfect storm. As we have seen in the past few weeks, it is very clear that there are many more stakeholders in the area that I truly believe have not been heard, and fully support keeping the Weisburn Da Vinci High School as it was intended and created in 2014. Now, given my own personal experience, having been in and out of the family court system for almost 10 years' time, I truly comprehend that sometimes people just can't see eye to eye or understand each other, even when it comes to what's best for their own children. But because of these experiences, I also fully understand that at the end of the day, the responsibility can rest with only one entity to not give up and continually work towards a solution that will best support those who matter. As such, I implore you to work together as a united front. If that means numerous meetings, including different board members and superintendents, then so be it. But in that vein, it is imperative that those stakeholders who have not been heard over and over again over the last few years be allowed to voice their opinions as well. Personally, I think it is a grave error to completely dismantle the Weisburn Da Vinci model that has been created. It is its uniqueness that makes it great. Does it sound like there have been large issues and things that need addressing? Absolutely. So let's solve those problems and fully give it a chance to flourish. Please, please do your best to work together with Da Vinci and strengthen and grow this partnership. Thank you for your time.
Beth Griffin?
Hi there. I'm Beth Griffin. I am the parent of outgoing 3rd and 5th graders at Da Vinci Connect, and readers I'm looking up is nauseating, so we're gonna bring them down a little. I'm a Weisburn resident, I'm a homeowner, I'm a taxpayer, and I'm a voter here since 2012. We are yet another family, I'm sure there are several in this room and many across the district who moved here from Culver City for Da Vinci. There was no Weisburn High School then. There was no high school at all, but we were actually okay with taking the risk if it meant we got to be part of the existing K-8 program. Honestly, at the time, we only had one 2-year-old and no idea what flying without that safety net meant, but it was our line of thinking that we would get the privilege of being part of DV until 8th grade, and then if we had to, we would homeschool for high school. And honestly, we don't want to homeschool for high school, but I will. Again, I'm a resident, a taxpayer, and a voter here. I won't put either of my kids in a traditional high school, regardless of where it's located. I'm not doing it. I'm here tonight to ask that you consider rescinding your request to terminate the FUA effective July 1st and clearly communicate your commitment to honoring the 40-year lease so we can start working together to solve other issues. Why has there not been, by mail, a survey of the residents that the board serves? How can you project what the majority wants when you haven't asked us? I've been asked multiple times about the renamings of the school. I'm in. I will help rename the school. I will vote for whatever there is to vote for. I haven't been asked about this. There are so many available options for traditional high school. There's no option for those of us seeking alternatives to traditional education. Enrollment in traditional schools is down all over the country. Southern California is no exception. The school system, as Horace Mann and the Rockefellers envisioned it, it's a pipeline to creating good workers. And it's not something I'm interested in my kids experiencing. I know I'm not alone. DV and Weisburn work together to build something exquisite. Something that people come from all over Southern California to be a part of. Something that currently has a wait list of 1,000 students hoping to get a chance at being students at Da Vinci High School. To uproot this after so much work has gone in to build it would be an absolute tragedy, and one that could very well impact our investment as homeowners on top of the impact it would have on our kids and families. Please work together to put the kids and students first, to provide the absolute best for them, better than anywhere else. We came because we wanted to do things differently, and we want the opportunity to continue that through 12.
Liz Longley.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I don't have anything prepared, so I'm gonna go blind by the seat of my pants, and so many great speakers here have said so many great things, so I will say I am a Weisburn resident. I did move out of the area for this school specifically. It always blew me away. I was a student at a unique school myself. It was a very expensive, unique experience. I'm grateful for it. My parents just got to come to the exhibition recently at Da Vinci, and they looked at me blown away. And they kept saying, where are the classrooms? And I'm like, oh, this isn't it, Mom. We're gonna watch a robot fight now. And they loved it. And my son has blossomed this year more than he ever has in his whole life. He's become a man this year. It's absolutely outstanding. I know Da Vinci is a part of that. He came home heartbroken when he had received the email. He said, Mom, what they're doing in my school, they're gonna take my school away. That's how a young child reads that letter. I assured him that that's not what's happening, that we're gonna figure this out. And he looked at me and he said, and this is a boy who's been on hockey teams his whole life, moving from team to team, never really feeling connected. But boy, 1 year at Da Vinci High School, and he calls this place his home. So that's my home, Mom. I said, I know, honey. We're gonna, and the way that he's able to express himself in his POLs, I love the little things he learns too. He came home super upset that his physics POL, he lost 25, he got almost a perfect score, but he lost 25 points there because he came with his fancy shoes in his bag, but he forgot to put them on. I said, well, you learned that lesson and I'm glad you did. I'm really hoping he gets to have a unique experience. I know, by the way, I'm a special ed teacher. I'm a speech therapist at a public school. And I wasn't going to fit in a public school myself. I do my best to help my students that struggle, and have as good of an experience as they can. And I'm so proud that I get to have a Da Vinci student. And I, by the way, have a daughter as well. She is going to entering this year as entering 5th grader at Da Vinci Connect. She was really excited to go to her brother's school, and also looks forward to being a Da Vinci High School student herself. So probably design. She keeps asking for design. So thank you so much. Oh, my son's in science. Thank you for letting me have a chance to speak and tell you how much this school means to me and my family.
Hello, everyone. My name is Helen, and I wanted to take a moment just to, first of all, thank the Heard On team. Their presentation today was really great, and it was very nice to see the amazing job that they've been able to do, and congratulate them on their first place win in the Heard On competition. So I wanted to start with that. And so it leads me to part of the reason that I wanted to speak today, because I know that we're moving or trying to get both sides to move forward on the CTE studio. I just ask both boards to work together, but I wanted to take a brief moment to just acknowledge that the last presentation Weisburn did with the speaker, and how she was able to point out a lot of the reasons why the project had to be placed on hold, issues dealing with only one contractor bidding, issues with discrepancies between the documents, issues between phasing and funding. There just seems to be a lot of things that weren't up to par yet. And so I want to make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's. I don't want to see us rush into building a CTE studio that's unsafe. It worries me when out of so many contractors in the world, in California, you can only get one contractor to bid on it. So I ask both boards to really take their time and make sure that whatever is built, which our kids will need, will be safe, and that both schools get to use it, not just Da Vinci, but that Wiseburn, like the Herdon team, that it be accessible to everyone, that the exclusivity be available to everyone, even the community. And so that's my what I wanted to share. And lastly, as a longtime resident, I want to see options. I want to see options for my kids. I have a sophomore, my niece, and incoming kindergartner. And so I ask you to work together with the other boards so that as community families, we have additional options. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nina Amadon? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Nina Amadman. I'm a mother of a ninth grader this year. We moved here to Del Air 2 years ago. I sold my home in Playa Vista. My child was in Playa Vista Elementary School. I toured numerous private schools, you name it. I saw all these South Bay schools as options, and I toured Dana several times. I met with you probably don't remember me, but we had several conversations about Dana and about Da Vinci. I made this big decision, sold my home, moved to Del Air for this school under the knowing that you guys have a 40-year contract. I did research this at the time. What happened? I mean, how did this happen? You guys are playing with our, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just trying to put the sugarcoating to the side and get to the bottom of this. You guys are playing with our livelihood with these decisions, and you sit here making, this was a retirement, a lot of this went into place to make this decision based on this contract, based on this lease contract. What happened to that? Number one. Number two, you guys are telling us that all this about the studio, it feels like there is way more than this into this. The studio didn't happen yesterday. How you guys didn't know that this studio had been built? Why we're not told in these tours of Dana and going to that this is even a factor. Again, I go back to what I said. The livelihood of these parents, people who sit here, is at stake. You guys are sitting here. I'm sure you guys know way more than I do about the school districts and the legality of it or the technicality of it. But still, we are the taxpayer here. You guys are still working for us. I feel like I have to hold you guys accountable for this kind of decision you made based on, Dr. Blake, I met with you several times. You never told us about these decisions. I have a feeling that these were cooking throughout the years. This was a plan in coming, and we never were told about any of this. I don't think this is about the student. I really don't think so. I could be wrong, but I'm here to stand here to say that as one parent, if I have to sleep here in the parking lot, I will. I truly will, because let me tell you something. We were in Playa Vista Elementary School. And we learned a lot from that experience, how the school districts work. There is way more than what we see on the surface here. I have absolutely no doubt. Please don't tell us this is about AP. Please don't, at least don't insult our intelligence. Tell us exactly what is going on. The honesty is always appreciated. At least come forward and say, you said, are you kidding me? You guys are sending this email to us at the end of the school district. Don't you think we understand this is specifically planned? Come forward and tell us exactly what is happening. You guys are sitting in your own suits and everything. I'm not being rude, but the decisions you're making today, I'm being very honest here. The decisions you guys are making here, my child is thriving here. I want to make another point here. You guys are talking about traditional. First of all, where was this research that you made of the residents wanting alternative or traditional school? Where is the point? Where are the facts about that? Who did that research? And what are exactly the results of that? Come to me with that research. I really want to see it. I have every right to ask for it. Where is the research? Which company did this research? I don't fault anybody for wanting alternatives. You can provide alternatives to. Does Manhattan Beach provide alternatives to what they have? They don't. We need to come to. Let me tell you something. The way I see this is this. This is school district. If there aren't other agendas here, including financial agendas, if you want to, you can set yourself. This is not you. This is the school district. Can set itself apart from the neighboring school districts by actually making this program even bigger and better and more successful. That's where you're going to bring more and more people to you, because we already have miracles. So please don't follow that. We are here for something different. A lot of people out there, you are hearing
If you
something.
could please start wrapping it up, please.
Yeah, of course. You're tearing something very good apart for something that is already not succeeding around you. So please, oh please, listen to what we have to say. Probably you don't want to hear what we have to say. That's why you're stopping me from talking. But that's okay. That's okay. We've been through this before with LAUSD for many years. We know how this is all on. But please, I'm not being rude. I'm asking you, please, to be transparent with us and tell us exactly what goes in your mind. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
More online.
Okay, we have one more public comment online.
Oh, I'm next. Good evening. How's everybody doing? May I?
No comment?
There's one more.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yes,
one.
welcome.
Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Reminder again, please keep it to 3 minutes. We're trying to be curious to all the other public speakers.
It's gonna be short.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I'm a grandmother, so don't. You know how grandmothers are. You do not play. Nevertheless, I am here because I have a grandson. He's graduating next year. He came in 9th grade. I have godchildren who graduated from here. One just graduated from Morehouse. One's already at Harvard. It's important. Traditional. I didn't send my own children to traditional schools because I had funds to not do that. But to get the email, it broke my heart. I said, wait a minute. It was something broken that I wasn't aware of? If it's not broken, why do we need to fix it? It is thriving. Our children are thriving. Then I thought, being the grandmother I am, lived through the 60s, I said, perhaps maybe there's too many brown or black children experiencing what good, innovative schools should be educational wise. I said, well, my daughter would say, Mom, why do you always want to do the race card? I've lived through it. I don't know what else is going on, but I know this. I'm a real estate broker by profession. If you sign a contract, you have to honor it. You cannot just throw it away and say, oh, yes, because. Oh, no. Litigation is real. I'm asking for my grandson will be out of here next year. I'm asking for the other children behind him.
Yeah.
This is not fair. This is not fair. And I don't think any one of you would allow this to happen to yours. Ever. And I won't allow it. I don't know who or where I have to go to make sure it doesn't happen, but I will. I'll make sure that everyone knows about it before it happens. Thank you for your time.
One more comment, please. Will I respond?
Yeah.
That's it. Again, reminder for the public bylaws, the board can't respond to the public comments, but I did want to just take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for the public comments. Thank you for your input tonight. Thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it over. I think we are now on for board discussions on the reading ordinance. Correct?
I am. Thank you. So we're gonna, I think Dr. Ingram is going, are you gonna stand up and show something or no? Are you? Yeah, okay. So the last time we met, with the board, we had discussed the renaming process, specifically talked about bringing forth the slates as they exist now. We can provide some backup information. We did do that at the last meeting in terms of, which slates were top the votes. And then provide some opportunity for discussion from the board so that we can bring back at a special meeting sometime next week, hopefully Monday, if we can make it work, that we can bring back that final slate for vote. So really wanted to, I'll turn over to Monique, quickly, but then we can maybe have a conversation here with the board as to how you'd like to see this evolve.
Good evening. So just a recap of what we talked about during our last meeting. We had the community survey that was sent out to our community members from the adults who participated in that survey. The 1,455 adults who participated, we had 868 who chose slate one. So the majority was slate one. The second preference was for slate two, which also paralleled the responses from our students with a student survey that was provided to students during school, where students overall preferred slate one, and the second preference was slate two. You might remember that when we broke those numbers down by grade or by school site, that looked a little bit different, but again, overall, among adults and kids, first choice was slate one, second preference was slate two. I also added, after you asked some of your questions, that during our committee meeting, the preference was for slate two. So our committee members during the discussion, during our initial discussion before the survey was distributed, was for slate two, and that follow-up conversations outside of that meeting, there was some discussion, some of our committee members shared that even with slate two, there was a preference among some to change Cabrillo and 138th, so that Cabrillo would be named Aviation Elementary and 138th would be called that.
Yeah, so I think I'm sorry, Monique, I just want to make sure that so I know there was conversations at the CAC meeting, particularly related to naming, on slate 1, you have Wiseburn Elementary, and then you have Wiseburn Middle School, and then as we know, we have Wiseburn High School, that may just be Wiseburn across the district. And so looking at that second slate, I know there was conversation at the CAC level, despite the vote, that maybe aviation comes in, so I know Monique shared that. I think aviation actually went between even the middle school and then the elementary school, if I recall, and as a conversation, maybe I was in a small group for that part of it, or maybe I'm just misremembering. But nonetheless, I think that's the conversation we want to entertain is, is there movement within these slates? Is there some guidance that you may want to give us so that we can prepare a final slate to bring back to the board?
So, I think this is an opportunity for the board to have a discussion. And I would like to turn it, I think that the two representatives that represented us on this was Roger and I believe Neil, is that correct? Or was it just you right there? I think it was both of you, right? Okay, so maybe we'll start with Neil and then Roger.
Sure. Just was very moved by the comments of the committee. They were very thoughtful. They were looking at the big picture. All the voting, let's see, in my perspective as well, all the voting significantly moved towards geographic. And the perspective that I heard both in the conversations and from others, and I actually had a name that I liked that I shared with others that I thought was the most benign, positive model in the history of the world, who really offended people. And I realized that we're trying to create inclusivity and welcomingness. And the committee, I think, came to this conclusion, as did the votes, that a geographic name serves that purpose better. Not only that, but it also avoids some confusion and puts us on the map. I know, for example, there was an urgent crisis earlier this year with Anza School. It happened to be Torrance Anza School, but there was confusion there from that. So from the general perspective of the community and the committee and the votes, I'm leaning towards geographic significance. I'm not leaning, that's where I would like. I did want to throw out what I suggested last time, is that I believe also if you looked at the votes by area, although number 1 had Wiseburn Elementary as more popular with the overall vote, in the Delaware community, it was not. And I refer to the comments I heard and I mentioned last time that Wiseburn being the starting point for our students would only represent one community. I would feel the same way if it were in the Delaware community as in the Holly Glen community. And the other thing, if in fact we did go to a Wiseburn Middle School and potentially the Wiseburn High School in development, there's a lot of Wiseburn going on there. So I would throw for consideration, or put out there for consideration, that the aviation and Wiseburn name be swapped, and that we look, or rather that we look at, that the two be considered. I'm not sure if aviation is what because you're flying, if that's the second school because it's higher, I don't know, but that would be my preference, recommendation based on the reasons I just shared.
So, Dr. Bowman, just so you're saying you're looking at slate 2 specifically. I just want to make sure
I believe so. And yes, slate 2, thank you.
Like to with no changes.
Slate 2, I think within it.
Well, actually, no, as I'm looking at now, you're right, it is without change.
Without change.
Yeah.
And Roger, please.
I did have an opportunity to participate in 1 or 2 of the meetings, but I purposely chose not to attend because as a board member, I wanted to see what the committee came up with and had the conversation. So I attended the first one, and after that, I withdrew, if you will.
I didn't comment, by the way, so I'll make sure I'm just silent in all those meetings. Just to make sure that was known.
So, for myself, I've been definitely over the course of time, I've been an incredible advocate for individual names. I still remain an advocate for individual names. However, I do see the overall results from the community, both the adults and the students, are largely and the great majority leaning towards the geographic. What that tells me is that our community isn't quite ready to fully embrace the naming of schools that are more ethnically diverse. I personally think that's incredibly unfortunate because this is an unbelievable opportunity to show not only our community but the world that we truly do embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what this result tells me is that we're not ready yet. Find that a little disheartening, if you will. However, I do see the results from the Dana students. There's a lot more Dana students in terms of it's about 40% or so. So I do see hope in our future generations that they'll look to naming schools after more diverse backgrounds. With that said, looking at the geographic models, I do have some comments and suggestions as well. The geographic model number 2, I think is all given a geographic consideration. I think geographic model number 2 is actually quite interesting to me in that it represents the different areas and the different communities, while still honoring the Weisburn name in the sense of Weisburn Middle School. You don't see as many Weisburns in the sense that, not that that's a negative, but you have a Weisburn Elementary, Weisburn Middle, potentially a Weisburn High School. In terms of the naming, not too sure how that reads in terms of potentially perceived as like the Weisburn Elementary being one having more favoritism if your child starts at Weisburn Elementary and your other kids don't start at those schools, and how that could be perceived. I see that as a potential issue, which I think maybe option 2 addresses by not creating it in the first place. One other item for consideration, if we were looking at option number 1, since that was the preference by both the students and the adults in the survey, my recommendation or suggestion would be to actually swap the 138th Street Holly Glen Elementary to be at Juan Cabrillo and the Weisburn Elementary to be over at 138th. So that would be swapping 1 and 2. The reason for that is because the proximity of what would be Weisburn Elementary with Dana Middle School, they literally share a fence. They're right next to each other. It's a more logical transition to go from that Weisburn Elementary to the Weisburn Middle School upon graduation. I think the students are also a little bit older, so there's some visits that are more common visits that are happening from those grades 3 through 5 as they go over to the middle school for grade 6. I think there's a little bit more synergies around the proximity of it. And also in the past, there were, when Weisburn's enrollment reduced, well, it was Peter Burnett, but 138th Street was actually shut down. So if history were to repeat itself and enrollment would reduce and there was a need to close down the school, then the overall community wouldn't have a Holly Glen high school if it remained the same way that it's shown on option number 1. If that school were to shut down, then Weisburn Elementary would shut down, yet each of our communities would still have a school named after it to show and be more inclusive in terms of the geography. So recommendation, if we were looking at option 1, is to swap Weisburn Elementary with Holly Glen Elementary as they're shown there in that slide. But my preference right now, I think, would be option 2. Rebecca.
Thanks, Nelson. I'm also persuaded by Roger, eloquent discussion of the individual slates and what it shows, about our community. That they chose the geographic ones over the individual ones. And I actually had Sally Wright as professor in college, so I would have been perfectly happy with those or any of the other more diverse names that are up there. So I do see the extreme value in having individual names. I also see the ease
of having the geographic names, in terms of like avoiding these kind of discussions in the future. And I think y'all know that that's not really my jam. I would much rather have the diversity conversation, and continue to push that. I mean, Sally Ride was also a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and not just a woman, STEM, pioneer. So just want to, give that shout out. That said, I'm agnostic as to slate 1 or 2. I don't see a problem with starting with a Wiseburn Elementary, whether that's at 138th or Rio or either one. Like I said, I'm sort of agnostic as to 1 or 2, and we'll be happy with, not happy, but I'll be, like I said, willing to support whatever that the majority of the board votes on those decisions. But just want to echo some of what Roger said about, sort of what it says about our community that that we're going with the bland choices. So just
Okay, so my family's been part of the Wiseburn community we've lived here for over 20 years, and we started as a dreaded hermit family, even before that, so probably 26 years. So one of the things that brought us to Wiseburn was the diversity of the community. My family is a mixed race family, and I only say that because diversity is so normal in my family. It was really important to have our children in a place where that was normal, and Wiseburn is that place. So I guess I don't have any heartburn that we pick geographic names. It may be the individual names on the slates that people would prefer different names. So I don't feel it's an insult to our multicultural community or an insult to our community members that they wanted geographic names. I don't feel like that's statement against diversity. I feel that maybe it's a easier way to remember where we are and have our kids really relate to that. With so many statues being torn down of Columbus and other people, it's hard to know what's really going to be right in the next 50 years or 25 years with names. Geographic is safe, it's easy for the kids. I think I go with slate 2. I had to vote tonight. And I think the community has spoken. And before we move on, I want to thank Monique so much for the many meetings, the many times you've explained this to us, the many times that the community was asked to vote or to participate in this naming. Thank you a lot. Thanks to the community for participating. It's the most participation we've ever had for anything. So that's a good sign. And I think we move forward. It's time to make a decision, move on. And that's kind of my thoughts. Thank you.
Joanne. So I just want to take an opportunity first also to commend Dr. Ingram for your leadership in this process. I want to thank Roger and Neil. They were the board representatives on this particular meeting, and I thank you for your leadership and representing the board. I want to thank the community, the students, the teachers, everybody involved. I mean, this was one of the largest and best turnouts we've ever received when we surveyed. So I appreciate that process. As many of you know, I grew up here. Actually grew up in the Delaware Park. I went to Anza Elementary School, went to Dana Middle School. And in looking at this reading, I certainly side with Joanne. I moved into the, my family's moved into the community, and this community has always been, the strength has been the Wiseburn School District and and now the Weisburg and Unified School District that includes Da Vinci. And also the, in terms of the communities, I agree with Joanne. The reason we moved into this community too is when I moved back in is because of the strength of the diversity as well. So I don't have that concern, but I certainly understand Roger and Rebecca's comments with regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in terms of some of the individual names that have been shared here. So I have a little bit of a different take on the slate, but very similar. I think I support the process. I support that the recommendation seems to be geographic and in today's climate, it's probably the safest kind of path, if you will. But in looking at it, and again, just a little bit of the history, because I shared that I did grow up, that I tend to side with geographic slate 1. However, on the middle school, I personally would like to see it, more aviation middle school. And the reason I state that is that kind of, the way I look at it is Cabrillo is closer to the Weisburn community. 138th is in the heart of Holly Glen. Del Air is obviously Anza. Dana Aviation Middle School is closer to Aviation Boulevard, and aviation kind of, everyone's going to come from a different community standpoint. So that's kind of my perspective. But again, I will go with the board desires, obviously. So you can see that we don't always agree, right? So that's all I have to say.
There's mud that guidance, right?
I'm saying, so I think we're in a little bit of a the pickle being that, we do want to bring a slate back, and I think I noted 3 slates. So I want to tease this out a little bit. So I see, Neil, thank you, support slate 2. I do understand Roger, if I understood you correctly, slate 2 was the first shot, and then you also had slate 1 with a change. Joanne, slate 2. So we do have 3 there with slate 2. I know Nelson, you had slate 1 with an aviation switch, although it wasn't middle school, it was the middle school switch for aviation, but slate 2. So
Just a complicated.
well, I mean, yeah. So I'm wondering, would this board consider us bringing, we got to do it if we would bring slate 2 forward. I think that seemed to capture a majority of the comments today. I know it doesn't necessarily capture Nelson, with the aviation switch to middle school. It keeps Weisburn Middle School, but it just seems by reading some of the comments and notes, sitting on the CAC meetings, I think it could go either way. And I would recommend maybe that we move forward with that. Monique, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to it.
No, I would agree with that. The one thing I would add is that some of our committee members suggested that in the absence of naming the schools after individuals' names, that later we look at maybe naming rooms or NPRs after people on the school sites. And so that might be a way to appease both interests.
One thing, if I may, one other comment about middle schools, it is the one place where our students all come together, which seemed to have some bearing on the name Weisburn. I did hear you on the aviation. I was kind of struggling. Is there something other than aviation? Because it's not on Aviation Boulevard, but I think the theme of aviation in our community, I could get my hands around that. But that's where I also lean that I didn't mention.
Yeah, just a comment on that. I think part of our challenge here at Weisburn is branding Weisburn itself. And by having that as an option with aviation middle school, I don't really associate a specific geographic area with that. And I think Weisburn now wholly gets lost in that where is Weisburn? Right? I mean, we're having a lot of conversations about our Da Vinci high schools, but then there would be, in that scenario, there would be no specific Weisburn school. Yet there's no Weisburn city. Most districts have, or a city that they're named after too. So in that scenario, I find it harder, because there would be no specific Weisburn school. So maybe as a suggestion is maybe multiple slates get brought forth on Monday, and then we determine how a vote and a procedure is going to be. If there's no, because it doesn't sound like there's necessarily a consensus, but then we'd have to talk about which one gets voted on to get approved.
Yeah. Okay. So our direction. Our direction is to, go ahead, no, I'm sorry, I was just.
It sounds like the direction is to bring maybe some more geographical slates. I don't know.
Slate two, I mean, I heard consensus for slate two, that everybody would be willing to vote for slate two. But that, if we were going to go and change something, we could, but. There's at least a majority, if not a
I
plurality.
think there's
slate
consensus
two.
on geographic slate two.
Correct.
With a few, that I get from understanding.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
you
a
could
few
swap
comments.
aviation middle school with aviation with Weisburn Elementary, right, on slate two, that I've heard.
Right,
That,
I think-
those two
So I
swap.
think Roger also in geographic slate two, and I'll allow him, I think he had a recommendation of switching Cabrillo and 138th, I believe, right, Roger?
Mine was in slate one.
Oh, slate one.
Swapping Weisburn Elementary to be 138th,
Okay.
and then Holly Glen to be Juan Cabrillo.
But you also said that you would support slate two, right?
So my thought is maybe the action is to put all three of those slates with number two as is, as the first one to vote on. The second one would be my suggestion of the swap only because that's the order in which we spoke, not for any other reason. And then the third one would be the one that Nelson advised of changing Weisburn Middle on slate one to aviation, only because that's the order we discussed them. And then we can vote on it, and if slate two passes, then as the first one, then there's no need to
Go
vote for the
further,
second
yeah.
one and or the third because it's essentially done.
So can we just be sure, can we just kind of go through the slates one time so we know exactly what to bring? I just want to make sure we have it listed the right way. Right, I got that. Yeah,
And then slate one with Weisburn change to aviation on the middle school.
correct, I got that, yeah.
Two,
Okay, that's the only change.
that's the only change on the one, right? So we would still have Weisburn Elementary and then aviation middle. And then I don't know what the third one was.
Third one, I think, was Nelson, your suggestion. Oh, that was the same one, yeah.
I think the third
And
one
mine
was
was the first two just swapped.
the first two swap.
Got it, right.
138
Yes.
is Weisburn and Rio is Hollywood.
Okay, so we're just flipping Hollywood and Weisburn.
Neil, Joanne, was there anything that you're good with those three options to consider? Okay.
We'll vote for one of them.
Do we want to bring three to the next meeting? Do we want to try and eliminate any now?
I'm a little concerned with having two schools named Weisburn something. And having the other schools look excluded from that nomenclature. So, anyway, that's my comment. I like the middle school being Weisburn, but I feel that the individuality of the elementary schools is important. And that none of them look like they're more important or better or Lawrence Weisburn as opposed to the other schools, maybe not. So for me, I have a problem with having one of the elementaries named the same as the middle school.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well, Joanne.
Does that effectively eliminate a slate then?
Not of the changed slates. It eliminates slate one, but it doesn't eliminate any of the proposed three slates that we just.
I think what he
No, not the ones that
It
they're
did.
bringing back.
It did, it eliminated one, we had the Weisburn Elementary and Weisburn Middle, so it at least
Okay.
eliminated one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we bring back two slates. And vote on one, and one, there's a majority vote on one, and that's that, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Ingram.
I'm happy to
Thank you
answer.
again.
And the community.
Okay. Board member reports. Okay, we'll start with you.
All right, let's see here. There it gets. First item, I'd like to just, also, I'd like to thank my colleague here, Nelson Martinez, and our superintendent, Dr. Blake Silvers, as well as, our partners at Da Vinci with regards to the meetings that we've been having. That would be Joe Weber and also Ray Santiago and Dr. Matt Wonder. I don't think he's here anymore, but we met yesterday and we're having some very productive dialogue with all conversations, with all issues that come up. At the end of the day, we have to discuss them if we expect to find some sort of a solution. This is the second time that we've met, and we're moving forward. And I know Blake, our superintendent, and Dr. Wonder are also meeting and finalizing and putting together a joint statement that's going to be coming out tomorrow. I won't be telling you what that statement is today. I apologize, only because it's not fully reviewed and done, but we're having some very positive, productive meetings as a way to move forward. And I will leave you with that in suspense, so please look out for that tomorrow. I apologize, but it's not done yet. So there'll be something issued tomorrow. And then my final comment for tonight is look forward to attending the graduations for all of the graduations and promotion ceremonies that are coming up. My son Matthew is graduating from Da Vinci Science, and he's going to be moving on to San Diego State. And there's a lot of other kids that are graduating from our Da Vinci schools and promoting from Dana and moving from our elementaries over to their next school. So it's an incredibly exciting time of the year to be in this situation. Given what we're going through with graduations, I know it's a tough and trying time for everyone with regards to what we're going through and the conversations that we're having. However, we are making progress and having some good conversations. So I will leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you to the community for your comments. We hear you, we're listening, we're taking lots of notes. And I think, again, as was shared before, you don't want, let me share that our belief is the desire to build. It is not to destroy. It is to create together. It is to create that we win together. I'm pleased that we're working forward on your meetings. Thank you, gentlemen, for representing us, gentlemen, also Dr. Silvers, with Dr. Wonder and the two representatives from Da Vinci. There is collaborative work being done. I'll refer back to what Dr. Wonder said. A setback is just a setup to do better. I'm paraphrasing. And that's certainly our goal. We're trying to win together. The collaboration process is in process. This is moving in a good way. Hang in there. Thank you, guys. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to share some reflections, both because we don't have a resolution again about Pride Month. So I just want to point that out, and also just restate some comments that I made actually last Pride Month. So it is Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month, LGBT Pride Month. Pride Month started as a commemoration of the 1969 Stonewall riots and works to achieve equal justice and equal opportunity for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and intersex LGBTQI+ Americans. In June of 1969, patrons and supporters of the Stonewall Inn in New York City staged an uprising to resist the police harassment and persecution to which LGBT Americans were commonly subjected. This uprising marks the beginning of a movement to outlaw discriminatory laws and practices against LGBTQI+ Americans. Federal and local policies and practices have increasingly acknowledged and focused on LGBTQI+ youth, and numerous national advocacy and other organizations are also giving greater attention to these youth in their work. We've also seen many attacks on these youth in other parts of the world, including here. And so it is our obligation to continue to encourage greater acceptance and support for all of our youth, including those who are or are perceived to be LGBTQI+. And it will make our communities and schools and other settings safer and a better place. I would love to see the district raise the pride flag during June as a further signal of support beyond the resolution which we considered one last year, but we don't have a resolution on the agenda tonight. So that's one thing. I also wanted to say thank you to all of our elementary music teachers again for their efforts with the spring sing performances at Rio 138th and Anza that have been taking place throughout these weeks. I'm looking forward to attending my own second grader at Rio's performance soon. I missed my fourth graders at 138 because he was sick. I'm looking forward to being at Rio, I think later this week. For that one. And thank you to the Weisburn Education Foundation for continuing to support these music programs, including providing the instruments and instructions that all of our students receive across our schools. We have heard requests that the district survey the community about the desire for a district-run high school. I was honored to co-chair the Bond Initiative Committee for Measure EE. As part of those efforts, I personally knocked hundreds of doors in our community and talked to hundreds of residents throughout the Weisburn School District. I also had the opportunity, we also had the support of many community members who also worked on the committee to support the initiative and also knocked on the doors. The number one issue that community's members raised to me and to fellow door knockers was, where is our district high school? What happened with the high school we were promised? So I want to reiterate that however we move forward, this is not the beginning, this is the beginning and not the end of our discussions of this topic. The district has made great strides in its efforts at transparency and communication, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow and expand in this way. I think, the community deserves it, but just so folks know, we did hear from the community just this past fall in knocking all of those doors, and this was their issue. This and what are we doing with that dirt field at 135th and Extension? Those were the two things. And so, that I just wanted to say that. I meant to say that at the last meeting. And then finally, I have asked a few times this over my year and a half on the school board, that the district explore a special education parent advisory committee. As well as some additional meetings for the community to be able to receive information and parent education and engagement opportunities. I was encouraged earlier this year about discussions around creating those spaces both this year and next year. So I just want to reiterate my request that we have those spaces for folks. I think there's just not enough information provided to our special education families and to parents of families who are questioning, what's happening with their kids in the schools and how can we better serve them. And look forward to finding more ways to engage both parents and our community more broadly to gauge their input and provide additional opportunities for their learning across the district in the coming school year. So that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I will start with also saying thanks to our community for your involvement in all things. In addition to the discussions we're having now about high school definitions and importance and what works for us, to the naming of our schools, to the Herndon competition, all the families that were here for that. Isn't it wonderful to live in a place where we can voice our opinions and know they'll be heard? I'd like to feel Weisburn is that place. I'd also like to mention, there were a couple of comments this evening that this board may have ulterior motives or hidden motives for the discussions we're having between the Da Vinci board and the Weisburn board. I'd like to encourage you to know that our motives stay pretty consistent, and they are about kids and they are about families. That's why I've been on this board for a long time, and I hope it's known that diversity and choice and responsibility, both physical as well as human responsibility, is something I know I hold very dear, and I know my fellow board members do as well. So there's no hidden agenda here. We're trying to do what's best for our community and what's best for kids. So I want to make sure that's out there. In terms of diversity, this district has had some of the most important achievements in the state of California based on some of our diverse population. And that takes it all the way from K through 12. So remember those things when you think about how we're working together and how we've got our future coming together. I think I really want to thank Blake and Nelson and Roger for working with counterparts on the Da Vinci side. I know the rest of us have worked individually with individual board members on the Da Vinci side and parents on all sides to, I hate to say it's a side, that's not really what we are. There's different approaches, perhaps no one's arguing with the Da Vinci approach. It's a wonderful institution, it's a great place for kids to learn. We're not arguing that we have to defeat that or destroy it. Obviously, there's no intention of that. The goal is to have choice, right? That's what we're all looking for. So bear with us while we work through the different choices that we need to make as responsible folks for you with the tax money that we have available to us and with the proud heritage that Weisberg. That's it.
It's an honor to serve on the board, and I think Joanne just summed it up and said it pretty well. The reason we're here is serving the community and the students. It's all about the students for us. And for both boards, I've had the opportunity to meet some of the new board members at Da Vinci, but also I have a relationship with many of the board members at Da Vinci, and it's the same thing. We're about the students first. And so there's no doubt about that. Are there differences of opinions? Yes. Do we struggle with communication on both sides? Yes. And then unfortunately, with the public is the end result of that communication at times. As Roger mentioned, and I want to thank Roger for his time. I do want to thank Ray Santiago and Joe Weber for their time as well, along with Blake and Matt. They really have a tough job dealing with 4 board members and 2 different board members from organizations. We're working through those and through the working groups. We're having excellent meetings. Yesterday was very good meeting, very positive meeting, very productive meeting. I think you're going to start seeing a joint message, like Roger mentioned, that comes out. I'll let that joint message. It's one of the first joint messages that'll be signed by both Blake and Matt. So I think that's a step in the right direction. We will continue to work through this, and at the same time, we also envision that there's going to be more future joint messages coming from that. And that happened because we were listening to you, the community. So I want to thank the community for that. So we'll continue. I think I'm going to steal a line from Roger that he says a lot. Together we accomplish more, and that's what we're going to do. I also want to take a moment as we kind of wind down the year. I wanted to say thank you to district leadership, thank you to the site administrators, thank you to the teachers, thank you to the staff for all the work that you've done. We've had another successful year, and we'll continue on. It's amazing how time flies. I also want to take an opportunity to congratulate all of the Da Vinci 2023 graduates, and along with the Dana Middle School promoters and the promoters, I guess, at 5th grade and kindergarten as well. Can't leave them out as well, right? So, and then I think I just wanted to conclude by just letting everyone know, have a wonderful break, enjoy your summer, and we'll be back next year. That's it. And again, I just want to thank my colleagues as well. It's a pleasure to serve with you. Blake, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So we're going to move then down to
I think it's
department leadership.
I think it's district
Or
leadership.
district leadership. I know Eileen always has something to share, so you share. Peggy, no. Jason, no. Okay. I didn't think so. I just figured I would check. So I was going to read this joint message, but I think I should hold off. I'm kidding. I do. We are going to send out a joint message tomorrow. Sorry. We are going to send out a joint message tomorrow. It's something that we're 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 looking forward to sharing. I do want to also thank Matt for spending time. I want to thank Roger, Nelson, Ray, and Joe. I think these productive conversations are important. I think we realize how important they are. We always knew how important they are. I just think sometimes, as people said, we just need to get ourselves back on track. So appreciate the feedback. But again, really appreciate Matt, the time he's put into this, and you all. And I know it's just been a lot of work and a lot of conversation. So it's good work ahead, and really feeling positive about that. I want to say I want to thank Dr. Ingram. You don't take on easy projects. I'm going to just say that publicly. And these projects are a challenge, and you're always there. You do it with professionalism. You're very thorough. Really appreciate the time and energy, and you have to stand up there on the podium and share these messages. So I appreciate you being who you are and doing that. I also want to thank the teachers had a chance, I think, to now get to every school for, I'm going to get this right, the Spring Sing. For the springtime, I've named it something different each time I've said something here, but just seeing the music teachers, it brings me back, to the time when our TKers didn't have music, and just being able to see our TK students, our kinder students, all the way up to 5th grade, getting to go to 138th Street School and see our 5th graders playing the violin. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. Something I wish I would have been able to do or could do. I probably couldn't do it just because I'm not gifted in that way, but just seeing all of those kids be able to read music and play music in such a beautiful sound. I just was really in awe by the teachers that are putting this together for the kids. And this takes a lot of coordination. I just don't know how they do it. So I just want to say thank you to them. Thank you to the kids for that. And just want to sum up. I want to end by saying I want to thank Sarah. I don't think she's here today, but Eileen is here, and I know Margarita's not here, but we finished testing, and all of our tests are done for the year. It's a huge endeavor. It's a huge endeavor from a network level, from a network perspective. It's a huge endeavor from just a logistics perspective. So I just want to thank you, Eileen, for leading that. Sarah definitely, who I hope is listening, because it's been a really, really big task, and thank you for that. Other than that, I'm going to just say thank you, everybody, and look forward to the 22nd, bringing the budget and LCAP.
Thank you, Blake.
I just want to go back. I wanted to thank Kelly Schumacher for being here tonight and for your comments. They were so different than pretty much everything else we've been discussing. So that was important in and of itself. And I think we've gotten emails from you about the topic that you discussed this evening. So I really appreciate your follow through with what you believe about this possible implementation and why you're concerned. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
No, it's not.
I understand you're representing. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to Edie Zerbal for writing this as well.
Sure. That's it. Thank you, Joanne. Wendy, do you have any public comments on agenda items? All right, fantastic. Seeing no comments, we're going to move towards consent items. Do I have a motion on 11.1?
Motion to approve 11.1.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do you have a second? Second. Thank you, Roger. All in favor? And again, these are routine in nature, and this will approve items 11.1 through 11.
Especially one comment here. We have Kat Ruba-Cobbin. So you were going to try and hide, but I'm not going to let you hide. Kat is here because she is being approved as part of this consent agenda. So I just wanted to make sure that we were able to call her out and cause that embarrass her. Oh, it's all on the consent?
Yeah.
I am so sorry. I thought you were later on. And we have Holly Compton, who's also here with us today. And I know, I've shared with the board at some point that, one of our big pushes this year was to going into next year. One of the big priorities, of this board, of the district is to look at our math instruction and really start closing that gap. I know that was a big, and we happened upon a treasurer in the area who lives here. And Holly, I don't know, can we call you up to say something, or is that going to put you on the spot? But Holly's here to also, to accept her appointment, I guess, or her, position.
Hello, my name is Holly Compton, and as Dr. Silver said, I am a resident here in Wiseburn, and I'm so excited to get to join the team here. My expertise is elementary math, and it just so happened that you all needed an elementary math specialist. So here I am, and I am really excited about this position because I have a daughter who is 1.5, and she will be going to Wiseburn schools. Don't know what the name will be, but but she'll be there. And I am so excited to lead the elementary teachers and the math committee in the area of mathematics. Really excited. So thank you very much.
Welcome to Wiseburn. This Wiseburn, glad to have you here. I would say welcome to Wiseburn, but you're already in Wiseburn.
I'm here. Yeah, thank you.
Better vote, make it official.
Yeah.
Right, all in favor?
So all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations to the both of you. Action items on facilities, do I have a motion to take 12.1 through 12.3?
I would move 1 and 2
Yeah.
and
1 and
talk
2?
about those.
Yeah, I have some questions about both
They are
1
related.
and
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. So I move 12.1 and 12.2.
Do you have a motion for 12.1 and 12.2?
You do.
Motion, I'll second.
Thank you, Neil and Rebecca, and I think Joanne, you had a question.
I do. I actually sent my question in email today to Blake and to Nelson. When I read the suggested contract language, I was a little concerned that there's duplication between these two contracts. It looks like we're doing the same work twice, and I'm not quite sure why we would do that.
So, Jason, I don't know, do you want to jump in and share your expertise on this? I'm happy to do it too, but.
In particular, it looks like we've got both companies designing and verifying the tech room where all this new equipment's gonna go, and also the Wi-Fi seems to be duplicated.
So, yeah, and so there is some overlapping. LPA though is gonna have a big focus on the structure of that actual room. They're not gonna be deciding on our infrastructure and our equipment and the conduit as to where it's gonna go. And I know IT management, definitely, they're looking at that design, like how the conduit is gonna go, and they're looking at the program and the implementation. We also, with your question, we got some backup. The LPA reached out to us, and they were really clear. It was about the physical development of what they're doing. That's where they're designing on that physical piece to make sure the room's fireproof, the sprinklers aren't gonna, put water on equipment and things like that. So they were very clear, and we clarified that.
So one is we have LPA that's gonna go in and do the design standard for a data room to include fire suppression, to include ladder racking systems, those things that are actually in the room. Whereas IT management is doing the actual system, the network system, the switches, the design of the switches, the programming of the switches.
Well, then doesn't one need to happen first?
Well, yeah, LPA would happen first.
The room is gonna happen.
That room.
LPA design would happen first. Fixing of the room.
It does seem reversed, as you're saying.
It's reversed to me. You have to have, you can't do them both at the same time. It's not, you're running into yourself.
Yeah, so LPA, again, they're doing those, they're also gonna add this to their standards, their criteria. So we do have some equipment already, but they're gonna add this to their specifications for standards. But really this LPA, that focus is on that one room only and making sure that all the other stuff, the IT management as we design, will be able to fit in there and be protected accordingly.
I understand all of that. I read what it is. What I don't understand is the flow of work, let's say, between the two contracts. How is the people, one of these companies is going to actually build the room, right? And the other one is designing standards and what the room ought to look like in general. If we ever build another one, this is what it should look like. So don't we have to wait for that?
We have a bill of materials from IT management already, and that's what Amir's been working on, and LP will receive that bill of materials and then work around the specifications. Or I'm sorry, LP, yeah.
If I may, I think I understand Joanne's question.
So the situation is that we have an existing MDF room. So at Anza, we have if we did not have an existing MDF room, the point that you're making makes sense, right? It's like you would want to find out first what you need infrastructure wise before you go and design. The difference here is that we have an existing MDF room that has been already constructed, and the firm that is doing the network infrastructure design has seen that particular space and indicate that that space is sufficient. Now, the issue is LPA is coming in because there are issues with the correct design of the physical building in terms of it's not up to date in terms of.
Yeah, no. I totally get it. What I don't understand is, and Amir, I've been doing this for years, so what I would like to be sure we're doing is that if we need to have a sort of general design spec for any room, I know we already have a room, what we're trying to do is make that room appropriate for the new equipment, but it's not. So the way we make that room appropriate for the new equipment is what one of these companies is to do, right? In a general sense, what's it need to have sprinklers? Maybe not, maybe we have a gas suppression system of some sort, all that sort of stuff. Fine. What's the other company doing while that's going on? What are they doing with the room?
So LPA would look at the architectural engineering piece to make sure it's sufficient to hold the equipment that IT management is going to be installing and designing and putting it throughout the room.
So maybe it's that, sorry, hi, go ahead.
Let's bring Noemi in. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that I think the question is that if LPA needs to tell us what the room needs to look like, and we understand IT management has already said, this is the type of equipment we want to put in there.
Right.
Are they just going to sit on hold, IT management, while LPA gives us those design specifications? In other words, why do we need to approve both contracts today, as opposed to waiting for LPA to do the design and then having IT management do
We
it?
have the design, we don't need these other guys to design it again. We need them to put a plan together that implements that design.
Yeah, let me add something here. I think what we're talking about is, the way I understand it is, the first contract is with LPA. They would do an assessment of the adequacy of the room, whether it's structure or fire suppression type systems, and do the analysis. Is the current room adequate to house the future IT needs? If it's not adequate, the report will say it's not adequate. Here's some preliminary recommendations. Then there'll be a third item that's gonna come before this board for a full actual design. LPA is not being contracted to actually do a full thorough design and take the project to DSA. This piece is for an assessment. And once we get that report, they'll work together with this next company, the IT management, right? Because you're already ordering a lot of these, the equipment, so this is to put it in. The second one is to put it in place, and a lot of it is primarily software and programming and things like that LPA does not do. They're not even involved with that portion of it. They're only looking at design of the physical space. So this is 1 and 2, potentially a third later. That's how I understand it.
I mean, I think the piece, so I know, and Noemi, I think is on. Noemi, are you on? Can you hear us?
I am. Good evening, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there. My grandbaby was born today, so I've been at the hospital. I just got out.
Congratulations, Noemi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe that was you, Roger, that you were speaking. I don't have my camera on, but that's absolutely correct. LPA is going to conduct the assessment of the data center, or the adequacy of the room. IT management is doing something completely different. They're not installing anything right now. They're simply doing an assessment of our full network, our Wi-Fi, our access points. They're going to look at every single IDF, every MDF closet. They're looking at everything else from a network programming engineering perspective. Two completely but similar paths that will work in collaboration. So they both know of each other. So for example, I've already informed LPA, that IT management, and what their scope of work is going to be. And they actually would love to have them be part of some of these discussions, not only for just this particular contract, which is the data center assessment, but also for just developing technology design standards going forward.
So IT management is doing more than just the room at ANZA.
It's a full district-wide, yes. IT management is looking at the entire district, from a, like I said, network programming and engineering, cabling aspect, and that's why their cost proposal is a lot more. The one for LPA is a lot less, significantly less, because it's strictly for the adequacy of the data center to ensure that the equipment that has been ordered will be, that the room will obviously be able to support it. And again, they're just looking at in terms of fire suppression, electrical, mechanical. Do we need to reroute some of the electrical? For example, there's reroute some of the outlets, because right now they're on power cords with daisy change, but obviously they should not. So it's more on the structure versus the programming.
Thank you.
So I mean, here's the bottom line is it's about a 90-day process for IT management to come in and plan the.
Correct, because you're going to be right. And this is not for installation. Again, this is just for them to give us a design, basically a plan for the network portion. Then there'll be a third contract down the road, whether it's IT, whether it's a different vendor or a completely independent company, because we'll actually have an implementation plan, and we'll know what that cost is, so that we can either decide to put it out to bid, or we use a CMAS if a CMAS is available, which there are a lot of CMAS contracts available for the actual installation, configuration, programming, and then installation of the actual equipment. But that comes much later.
Thank you, Noemi. Joanne, you have questions?
Noemi, this is Joanne.
Hi,
am
Joanne.
impressed, hello, that even though there is duplicative wording between these two contracts, that there's not duplicative work.
Correct. And we received your comments. Unfortunately, I couldn't do much with it today. I apologize, but Cherie stepped in from my team. She called the vendors. She verified. It was just added language that shouldn't have been there. But they're looking more, again, from the equipment portion from the room. What's there currently? Like, do we need to replace? Like I said, the mechanical, do we need to modify it? The lighting, there was, I think, 2 line items that seem redundant, but that has been clarified. And it's not an additional cost to the district.
So the question, I think, is do we do the room, is if we just outfit the room first, or just get the design on the room first without the other IT management design, is that better? Is it going to change much of the IT management layout? Or I think that's what you're asking, right, Joanna? That if the room is done first, and is that better for the study from IT management or the design from IT management? Or are we actually saving time by maybe them working together, I guess, in collaboration? If we're not paying double, I guess would be the question I'd have.
I don't understand the point
In
of
talking
dividing
to
it on your
both,
own.
and talk.
That's my concern.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, and I spoke over you, so I apologize. My concern kind of goes with what Blake was talking about, is are we simultaneously designing and building?
No, we're not building anything. We're just assessing. These are for assessment only.
Then I'm really concerned, because we're doing the same assessment twice.
No, again,
In this proposal anywhere.
LPA is assessing the adequacy of the room, of just one room. Versus IT is looking at the, from a, like I said, network point of view.
Well, one of it says, which one am I looking at? Something called ITM, Wi-Fi Network Assessment.
For IT management, correct. Yes, they're looking at like I said, the Wi-Fi, the access points, the PA, the clocks, everything that's low voltage. They're also looking at all of the IDFs and MDFs, the cabling. They're doing heat mapping. This is completely different from what LPA is doing.
LPA is just looking at the facility itself, not one room.
So. Can I call the question?
And I'd like to call it as well.
Yes.
I don't want to delay progress. I understand how important it is for us to make progress. We know we've already improved equipment and we've ordered. We don't want to get in the way of that. At the same time, I want to make sure that our work planning and our work implementation follow a distinct schedule, that we're not getting in our own way by trying to do things faster than we're ready to do them.
Correct. Which is why we suggested the assessments versus going directly to installation, which was the path that the district was heading, unfortunately.
So one of the assessments is a general.
Because remember, it's a network overhaul now.
Well, where? So.
Versus replace, before it was, they were going to treat it as like for like replacement, essentially was plug and play, disconnect one and connect the one in place. This is truly a network overhaul. Because of that, it requires a design. It can't just be, here's the equipment, let's replace it, because it's not like for like equipment. We wanted to make sure that we truly assess the entire network, what it currently is and what it needs to be, so that they can give us a true design and then a true implementation plan. That's one piece. And then the second piece, go ahead.
That's what Amir pretty much did.
Correct. Through IT management. We have been working every step of the way with Amir on this.
Nelson, again, I'd like to call the question on this item.
We have a motion and a second already. Are we correct, Wendy?
This is for two, this is also 12, just to clarify, 12.1 and 12.2.
Yeah. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Point 3. Renewal of piggyback contract number 4 for the aquatic pool. Do a motion?
A motion?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Action item fiscal. Do a motion? Is there any objection to taking 13.1 through 13.6?
I do have a question on Power School, just the distinction between them all.
I'll move 13.1 through 13.6.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I just have a question, sorry, Nelson, are we removing, I know there was a question about removing 13.6, the CONAP. So we actually are just we're actually gonna ask to remove that. Was there a reason, Eileen, can you clarify?
CONAP was actually approved back for the spring. This is the winter. It does not require any consent or approval. And so we did bring it to board and it was approved, I believe in September.
Right.
2000.
All right, so I would like to amend my motion to approve 13.1 and 13.5 and remove 13.6 from the agenda.
Thank you, Rebecca.
And I will second.
Thank you,
Rebecca just modified.
Before we vote, I think Neil, you had a question.
I had a question on the Power School, just the various agreements. I was struggling to discern what they were all representing.
Item 13.2.
Yes, 13.2.
Yeah, I think I had similar question.
Can we explain? The first one is the student information system. That's where we take our attendance and do all our enrollment. And that is that first paragraph. It'll say there that's covered out of general fund. And then we have the data analytics where we would run, our tests, and we can run a lot of data reports out of that. It's a smaller contract, and again, we wouldn't we wouldn't try to seek a multi-year on that one. And then the third one is it's the how-to, I believe, and it's that's a career exploration program that counselor can use with a student, and they have curriculum, I believe, in there to work with the students on career exploration.
And these relative to prior years, 3% increase.
Yeah, so I know it was a little confusing, but I'm trying to break it all down so you can see the smaller contracts had that 3%. You'll see increase. The Power School SIS, what I did is I pushed for the 3-year, and so they actually gave us a 1 point, I believe it was about 1.7, and then you'll see the increase on the other 2 following years. If I would have just went 1 year, they're going to give me a 7% increase. So it was a good deal, and plus it's something we're going to continue to use.
Makes sense. And then outside the question on the trans, this is something we do every year, give us the opportunity. We're not necessarily going to take advantage of it, but we have the opportunity should we want to.
Correct.
And remember when we did take advantage of the interest rate was remarkably good. So like 0.17% interest or something. Yeah, it's really remarkable. So don't want it, don't need it, but available. Thank you.
Pressure.
It does.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Reese. All in favor?
Hi.
All right, now we have a very special action item coming up, 14.1. Blake, take it away.
We need to move
I think,
the item.
Oh, yes, I got excited.
Move to approve item.
And
14.1.
Probably second.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, Neil.
sorry.
Oh, this is 14. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say we specifically put this at the end of the agenda so that Summer had to stay here for the entire meeting, and so Summer, welcome. No, I just want to say I'm real proud of the work that Summer's done, personally, but I also think just as an organization, we've been, better because of the work that she's done. I mean, if you've been to 138 for night events, you see Summer there. If you've been to Cabrillo for night events, you see Summer there. You go during the day to both schools, you may see her there at the same time at both schools. But no, I mean, I just really, I think that, Summer, this is a very great opportunity for you. It's a gift to the district, that you're here and able to perform in this capacity. So it's awesome.
Can I also make a comment?
Yes.
Summer, it has been a pleasure to have you at 138 this year in your current role. And I'm so grateful that you're taking on this new opportunity.
Good job there, Neil. Rebecca, Summer, congratulations.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Hello, everyone. 17 years ago, I know, this board took a chance on me and offered me right out of college a position to work at Dana Middle School as a math teacher. And I hung out for 8 years and it was phenomenal and worked with great leadership. And then had the opportunity to go to 138th Street and taught the first 7 years with 5th grade. PLTW did plenty of robotics demonstrations for you over at 138th, and it was just amazing. And then 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to hop into administration with some of our amazing leaders here who have been mentors and inspired me from the very beginning and encouraged me just to keep going. And this year, they're like, "Which school are you at?" And I'm like, "I have no idea, but we're just going to keep going." So I really thank you for this opportunity that I get to transition over with my little 2nd grade cubs and officially tell them, which is exciting, and take the lead on 138th Street. My heart's been there for 9 years, and I'm super excited to work with the staff, with our students, and with our community. Thank you very much.
Good. We did both.
I think we got 5 motions in 5 seconds, so we're good on that one.
So upcoming dates and events, we have a myriad of events coming up, Blake, right?
We
I
do.
think Wendy's gonna test our eyes. Right?
Oh, God.
If I can probably guide you away from the screen, a lot of our upcoming events, I just want to point out, obviously, we have our board meetings that are very important. We have our upcoming June 22nd board meeting that's going to revolve around LCAP and budget that we'll put up for public hearing, and then we'll bring that back on Monday morning. I believe it's 8 a.m. There it is. 26 to vote on that, so we can submit that to the county. We'll have a presentation on the 22nd for that. But we also have this week, on June 8th, we have the Da Vinci High School graduations. I know, I'll be at all of them. I think we have representation at all of them. Really excited to be a part of that. We have Da Vinci Connect, the 8th grade program that's going to promote or graduate on Friday. So it's another great opportunity for us to be there and see that graduation. Following week on Wednesday, we have both 138th Street and ANZA promotions, and followed by Thursday's Dana Middle School graduation and the end of the school year. And that's at 2 p.m. on Thursday. So looking forward to all those events, and there's lots between now and then.
June 12th, did you mention?
I'm sorry, I did not mention that. Yes, so June 12th is Monday. Yeah, that's our special board meeting for renaming specific. So it'll be relegated to just that one agenda item, assuming I don't get ahead of myself. No, I'll keep it to that. June 12th. 5 o'clock.
And is it possible to join that meeting via remote?
You can. There's let us figure out. I know. I'm sorry, Dr. Goldman. I meant to research that for you. I will. Let me figure out. But yes, there's a way you can do that.
I have the same request for the 22nd and 26th. I will be not here, but if
Okay.
you want me to be there, I will try to be there by.
Okay. Okay. Let's see how let's I know there are some posting requirements too. So
I will happily put something
on your
Door.
Okay.
You can see how.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah.
That concludes our board meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.